Joining us now, and he always has fun, Mohammed. Barakat is with us on the U.S. Qatar Business Council. Mohammed, great to have you with us.
Hey, John. Good morning, and thanks for having me, and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, too. You're missing all the fun here in Washington. I tell you what, I could just ask you this. You were at the forum, right? I saw you there, the Qatar Forum. The number of foreign dignitaries that were there at that forum. Somebody was asking me the other day, Mohammed, and it was like, well, Foreign Minister of Iran, all people that got actually interviewed, legitimate interviews, not fake newsers. Who was it? Foreign Minister of Iran, Foreign Minister of Turkey, Chief Negotiator for Palestine, Sean Spicer, right, a no-holds-barred interview, and many, many more. I just thought that was a fascinating 2 days. Agree or not?
Agreed. Indeed. The caliber of the people that participated in the panels and in some of the people that got interviewed, it's very fantastic. It gives a really broad an outline of several topics, several discussions. You don't get to hear many of these people talking about different topics, clear views, open views in one forum, which is fascinating. And beside the people you mentioned as well, having several head of states and UN, people from the U.S. as well, Europe, the Middle East, it really gave a really great picture at the end where you heard all of it, and then you come out with a lot of conclusions and a lot of things to digest and think about.
We're with Mohammed Barakat. He is the managing director of the United States Qatar Business Council. The government of Qatar investing literally hundreds of millions of dollars in the U.S. and in various things as part of their sovereign fund. And it's not like it doesn't go through government agencies. They just basically invested in things that they think are sound investments. What are some of the bigger ones that they've made recently that you've been able to manage, Mohammed?
So with Qatar Investment Authority and their policy and their strategy in the United States, they have been heavily investing in real estate, technology companies and technology firms, as well, and they're identifying many projects in the infrastructure in the United States. Out of the commitments that they made 4 years ago, $45 billion to be invested in the United States, we just came back from the U.S.-Qatar Strategic Dialogue that was headed by Secretary of State Pompeo in Qatar, and a really great, good delegation from the United States government. And we had managed as well a major delegation from the business community, U.S. business community. We had 69 people coming from the business community in the United States. They announced that they have already spent $30 billion out of the 45 in the United States between real estate investment in tech companies in the United States in collaboration with American partners and VC partners. As you might heard, end of last year, they purchased the Plaza Hotel in New York,
right,
which is a major acquisition. And then there's several other potential projects that Qatar Investment Authority and their offices as well in the United are working to identify and invest. Specifically, they're looking into a lot of, hopefully, infrastructure projects in the United States.
The level of investment they're making, obviously they invest money in the United States and our infrastructure. That creates jobs, that creates opportunity, that creates economic expansion here in the United States. So it's like any entity coming in and making investments into the future. Obviously they're betting on the U.S. economy staying strong, or they wouldn't be making those investments. Is that a fair assessment, Mohammed, for us to make?
Yes, 100%. The U.S. economy, even with the up and downs and with a lot of people forecasting potential global maybe slowdown, it still maintain a steady stream of revenues. Qatar Investment Authority, when they invest, they look at the long-term investment. They're not a short-term investor. They come in and they look at projects that they will keep and hold for many, many years. With that gives you an understanding that even with the ups and downs with the global economy or the U.S. economy, the stream of revenues will maintain itself because it's a long-term investment. Where on the other hand, if you look at short-term investors, these are different because they look at revenues in the short term, they look at exit strategies, and that is not what Qatar Investment Authority usually do. They look at very long term. So with that, the U.S. economy has always been, steady when you look at it within an average 30-year in return in the investments in the projects in the U.S.
We're with Mohammed Barakat. He's the managing director of the United States Qatar Business Council and the Sovereign Fund of Qatar, investing literally hundreds of dollars into the United States, mainly in infrastructure, basically investing in the U.S. economy because they believe it's going to continue to grow under the current environment and the administration that we have. Mohammed, I want to get to 2022 World Cup, which those that have been to the Middle East, Doha, Qatar, the construction that's going on there is unbelievable, getting ready for that. What type of an impact is that having on the country, the region, and then after the Cup is over and everybody goes home, what happens with all those hotels, all those stadiums? Just walk us through that whole scenario, because it's huge.
Right. So the Soccer World Cup in 2022, it's one of the major events that take place usually in the sport world. Qatar is going to be the first Middle Eastern Arab country to host these games by FIFA. And their focus is to create a unique place for everyone in the Middle East to enjoy these games. As you might know, John, people in the Middle East and the Arabs, they're really big fan of soccer. So having that is in their backyard and allow the FIFA games to take place in Qatar will put a big major spotlight and as well deliver to everyone in the region. Now, the infrastructure that you have seen, the build-up of the stadium, the roads, all of that will help facilitate everything for these games. We're almost 3 years away from the games, or almost 4 years away from the games. Roads, bridges, and a lot of other infrastructure projects taking place, and facilities as well. Now, with the games bringing millions of people in and out of the country during the 30 days in the games, you'll get a lot of activities surrounding that. You get a lot of touristic activities, hospitality, management, and that. The capacity that is required is fascinating. Mm-hmm. So Qatar has built a strategic plan when it comes to the World Cup and beyond the World Cup. So we always hear the 2022 World Cup games and investments towards that, but Qatar as well have a 2030 vision, which part of the items on this vision are fulfilled through the development for the World Cup 2022. So moving towards the games, Qatar is building up to actually as well complete its vision 2030. That vision, once the World Cup is over, then Qatar is going to look back and see, okay, what else remain from the 2030 vision that we need to fill the gap and continue building on. And that will continue towards 2030. It's the development is putting the country on the spotlight with the World Cup. Everyone will come and get to enjoy Qatar, see Qatar, the hospitality that Qatar is going to offer, the unique resorts, the shores, the beaches in there, and many other fun activities that everyone will enjoy. The amazing weather during the winter time as well, the fall time in Qatar, offer an opportunity for everyone to enjoy the country. Now, after the World Cup games are over, when it comes to a lot of the sport facilities like the stadiums, the capacity of the stadiums, Qatar had a plan to donate parts of these stadiums. They were built in a unique design where a lot of these stadiums, parts of them will be deassembled and donated to countries that don't have enough sport facilities. Mm-hmm. So it's a sustainable model even in building these stadiums. So that part to the sport. Now, with the hotels and the resorts and all of that, there is a certain capacity that will remain in the country because it's built in the country. But
Right.
as well, Qatar is looking for many other ways, like, for example, floating hotels and resorts coming in to fulfill the extra need during the World Cup. It's going to be fascinating. And then after that, as you know, these floating hotels will be removed. So the strategic plan for the World Cup is fulfilling the bigger picture of the 2030 vision. That kind of development will put Qatar in a place, an accelerated, actually, way to achieve its goals for 2030 and then continue its development plans as well.
I mean, it's just fascinating how they're building there for this World Cup in 2022, Mohammed. You mentioned, tell our audience the figure again, because I can't wait to go. I mean, I'm not going to miss that. That's going to be so much fun. But how many people are actually going to be there when it's in full swing? Estimated.
So the usually with the FIFA soccer, the estimation it's between 4 to 5 million people coming in for the games. These numbers usually change up or down, but mostly we're hoping that's going to be up. Depend on the location, the place. Qatar Games has a unique thing, which is very different from all the other games that took place in the past.
Why?
Is that people that travel to Qatar can actually attend more than one game in the same day. So because of the distance and the way that the stadiums are built, you can attend a game in the morning in one place, and then later on, take the beautiful new metro or the new highways and go to another stadium and attend another game in the same day, which is without flying, without, trying to go through, airports and all of that. So that's a unique thing that we're, expecting that soccer fans from around the world might enjoy that unique experience that they never had to deal with in the past before. Most of the games in the past, or even the 2026, for example, that's going to be hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, the one after Qatar, you can imagine if you attend one game in Los Angeles and the next game in somewhere in the East Coast and Canada, that's a lot of travel. So you can't do two at the same day probably. Where Qatar, you're going to be able to do that. It's going to be a unique experience, and as Qatar and the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy that's responsible for the built-up for the games always say, they're going to deliver a new experience. They're going to deliver a unique experience.
I mean, so they could get, if it averages 4 to 5 million, you can only go to one game a day because of your proximity and the way this is put together in Qatar for the World Cup 2022. You could get, 5-6 million people there. I mean, it's just, if you've been to any of these countries in the Middle East, especially to Qatar like I have, and you think, okay, well, where on earth are they going to put another 6 million people? I mean, that's just a lot of people, right? This is not like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl and like 90,000 are going to New Orleans Superdome. It's like 6 or 7 million people are coming to the soccer games, all in one country, all in one place. I mean, it is going to be a sight to see.
Yeah, but just one difference would be, John, is that the games take over 30 days.
Right.
So you have the time to give you the ability to go in and out. So that's a good thing.
Right. So all 7 million. I mean, if you end up with 6 million, all 6 million are not going to be there in one day. So that's spread over, over the course of the month. Spread over the course of the month.
Yeah.
So I just want to be sure that's clarified. But still, it's just a lot of people, and I can't wait. 2022 is going to come of course, as you get older. Mohammed, what happens? Except if you're Joe Morrissey, time flies when you get older. Mohammed, Barakat, I just got to ask you one more question, then I'm out of time. How's your son?
He's great. Thank you. He's great. He's, it's snowing in here in Washington, so he's enjoying his snow days.
Good. Well, I know you spend a lot of time with him. You're a good father. I'm over my time limit. Everybody's going crazy, so I got to get out. Mohammed Barakat, Managing Director of the U.S. Qatar Business We have to have you back. I kind of it got a little bit ahead of me. I'd like to have you back every couple of months because we have to talk about the Gulf crisis and pulling out of OPEC and what the Saudis are doing and MBS, all that stuff we got to talk about when we get John back on next week. And is MBS going to any of the soccer games? See, I want to ask that question too. Mohammed, I got to go. Thanks for being with us.